Hi, sorry about that. It's Heather Dunlop, founder of Thriving Women Again. Had some technical glitches there, so just wanted to come on back and share this presentation with you because it is so important. So what I want to share with you today are my insights onto this new Netflix documentary. It came out in the last week, and it's called Athlete A. And the reason it's so important to me is because, well, when I was a child, I was molested from age 8 to 12. So I can completely empathize with these women, and I understand what they went through and what they're currently going through today. And I want to share with you some insights from someone who has had a similar experience as to what you can look out for, whether you're a parent, whether you're a woman, or a teacher, anyone in the community, if you're around children and other women, because it doesn't happen just to children. I want to share my insights onto some things that I see in how the women spoke, as well as how the perpetrator spoke, and how he was viewed, that can give you a little clue that something might not be quite right here. That's why I want to share this with you today. All right, so here is the presentation. And I want to share with you, every 73 seconds, an American is sexually assaulted. And every 9 minutes, that victim is a child. These stats come from RAIN.org, an organization that helps people who have been sexually abused, sexually assaulted, molested, whether a child or an adult, to get through it, whether it's going on currently or it's happened in the past, and how you can move forward. The reason I share this with you, because I think this is a shocking statistic. Every 73 seconds, an American is sexually assaulted, and every 9 minutes, that victim is a child. So what I'm going to share with you here first are some of the things that were said by the women in the documentary. And this is current time, so they weren't actually, well, I can't say all of them. The majority of them were not experiencing the sexual assault at the time that the documentary began filming. So this was one of the first women. When I realized it was sexual abuse and haven't thought about it, it becomes so real. Like it was yesterday, like it just happened to you, like you're 15 years old. Another woman said, when I read the article, I thought this doctor used to do very similar things to me. So I need to backtrack a little bit. The documentary Athlete A started filming because the Indy Star newspaper out of Indianapolis had been working on an article, had been doing an investigation into their local school systems to understand why sexual assault is not reported within the school systems within the Indianapolis area. And throughout this investigation, someone said to them, hey, you need to take a look at USA Gymnastics. And when they looked at USA Gymnastics, they found even more. So they put out this article in the Indy Star during the Rio Olympics in August of 2016. And this quote is a result of that article. And we're going to get a little more into it, but I don't want to focus too much on that. What I want to focus on, which I think Netflix did an amazing job with, is that they focused on the women and their experience, and as well as from the reporter's perspective as they were uncovering this story. So she said, this doctor used to do very similar things to me. She was still scared, and many years later, she was still afraid of the repercussions about speaking up all these years later. Because this instance, she had been molested as a teenager, underage, and now she's a fully grown woman years later. And she said, if he is a pedophile and I don't do something about it, I can't live with that. Another woman said, I didn't know a lot when I was 15, but one thing I did know is that abuse victims weren't treated well. They are mocked, they are questioned, they are blamed, they are shamed, and that does incredible damage to the healing process. And I can't even explain to you, where I'm going to show you some examples later on. Yes, they are mocked. Yes, they are questioned. They are not believed. They are blamed for what happened, when in other criminal instances, they're not blamed. And then they are shamed to make them feel like they did something wrong. Or they are badgered so bad that they start to doubt their own ability to trust themselves, let alone everybody around them, but they don't even trust themselves anymore. It was always present. I couldn't just put it away. Meaning, and I experience this as well, every single thing you do from the moment you wake up till you go to sleep at night, there's this constant thought that you are shamed, that you are blamed, that you are in the wrong, that you did something wrong, that you are not worthy of love, of kindness, of trust. You can't trust anybody. She said, it's always present. I couldn't just put it away. And it's not just during those waking hours. It's at night when you finally are able to fall asleep and the nightmares come out. And you can't sleep now because you've got these demons going on in your head. So if any of this is you, I want you to know I understand you. I've been there, and this is the reason why I do the work that I do. I help women get out of survival mode and live a thriving life again, so that this experience that they had no longer controls the rest of your life. It no longer controls your thoughts of every waking moment and when you try to get some sleep at night. So reach out to me at thrivingwoman.youcanbookme. youcanbook.me, and let's have a chat. Most people are sexually assaulted, are very uncomfortable. They don't know what to say. This is a statement from the detective that got the case. And thankfully, she was a detective that took the information from the first woman who reported it and dug in and did the full investigation and brought him in for questioning, because this was not the first time he was brought in for questioning. He had been brought in 3 years prior, and it was dismissed, and the DA wouldn't even pick it up. So these gymnasts, their entire environment was abusive. They were being physically abused, being slapped and hit by coaches. They were screamed at and demeaned every single day. And this created an environment where an abuser who could seem like a nice man or the only nice adult there could get away with even worse offenses. So if this is anything that's interest of you, if you think this needs to be shared with someone that you know, especially a parent or someone who has had a similar experience and is looking for some help because they're stuck in the moment and they can't get past it, share this information with them. So what I want to share with you now is statistics from RAINN, RAINN.org. And they are an advocacy group. And this is the statistics they show. 8 out of 10 rapes, 8 out of 10 are committed by someone known to the victim. Someone known to the victim. So it could be an acquaintance, it could be a coworker, it could be a former boyfriend or spouse or girlfriend, a friend. Very rarely is it someone who is not related to them or they do not know. That's why it's important to know this information, because I think a lot of people have the belief that, or a lot of women fear that they're going to get raped by a stranger walking down the street, when the reality is you're more likely to be attacked by someone you know, by that coworker who says, hey, It's late out. It's late at night. We've been working late. Let me walk you to your car. That's the person that you might want to say, if you had any inkling, no, I'm good, thank you. It's also why I do the work we do, and my husband and I teach self-defense so that you can take care of yourself and trust and believe in yourself and have the confidence to say, hey, you know what? I can be more open to the people around me because I don't fear for my safety, because I'm not relying on them to help me. I have the skills to do this. And if you'll notice, many things that have happened in the news lately, there are assaults that happen. How do we have so many video of this and nobody's helping that victim? They're happily running their phone and videotaping it, but they don't actually help the victim. They think they're helping by recording it, when in reality, they could be more help by intervening, by stopping it, by calling 911 immediately. That is why you need to be self-reliant, and that is one of the reasons why we teach self-defense. The other thing too is that, when you know you can defend yourself, you carry yourself in a different manner. And you're like, fuck you, don't you try to come near me because I will beat you. I will fight back. I am not going to let this happen. So learn how to take care of yourself. It's very, very important. Sorry about that little sidetrack there. So this is what one of the attorneys said, some of the victims said about this man who is the perpetrator in the documentary Athlete A. They said, he's a very prominent figure in the community, and this could ruin his reputation and his family. AKA, he's prominent and held up, and he's an important person, so how dare you speak against him? And that is what is so wrong with what is happening and why so many of these perpetrators get away with it for so long, until finally someone says enough. The other thing that showed up in the film that to me signified something's a little off here, the majority of the women call him by his first name, not Dr. So-and-so. They call him by his first name, even in the documentary, which you can see there why they would have thought, okay, he's safe because he's not Dr. So-and-so. He's my friend. He brings me snacks. He brings me candy. He puts things under my pillow while I'm at the Olympics because my coaches treat me like shit all day long and are screaming and yelling at me and smacking me and beating me. And I'm in so much physical pain because my body is breaking down and has so many injuries. And they tell me I don't have these injuries. But here he comes. He's not Dr. So-and-so. He's my friend who's going to give me some candy. He's my friend who's going to sneak something under my pillow at night. That to me is an indication that you might want to pay attention here, because it is not the norm for a doctor to say, call me by my first name, especially not to a minor. These girls were working hours and hours on end every single day, going to these camps and being held apart from their friends and their family. Their parents were not allowed at the Karoli camp at all. They weren't allowed to set foot on the property. They couldn't get in touch with them because they didn't have cell phone service. So they didn't really know what was going on with their child. And then in comes this doctor. Oh, I'm just so-and-so, and I'm fun, and I'm upbeat, and I'm going to tell you jokes and make you laugh and giggle and give you candy. In the meantime, I'm going to sexually assault you. Pay attention when someone who is in a prominent position is saying to a minor, hey, I'm just your pal, I'm just your friend. Call me by my first name. And one of the things that they said was, it was an honor to be there. So you didn't want to speak up because you would lose the honor of being there. They wouldn't select you anymore They would exclude you and keep you out. So your dream of being an elite gymnast and your dream of going to the Olympics, which only comes around every 4 years, they held that over them. And it was an honor to be there. So they didn't speak up. When it happened to one of the girls that finally reported it, 2015. I don't say finally, excuse me, please. I misspoke there. What I meant to say was when she reported it, because someone finally did, she was overheard talking to one of the other athletes. And she was saying to her friend, I was kind of confused and wondering what it was because I'd never experienced anything like that. Meaning she's been for treatment before. I mean, these are gymnasts. They have injuries all the time. They're used to going to the doctor and being in a professional environment. And here she is at the Caroli camp, separate from her parents. She's just a teenager. And he's like, come on, let's do it in the back room where you guys hang out, watch TV and get massages and have fun. And we'll just do it right back there. And then he doesn't just treat her, he sexually assaults her in the middle of it. So she's like, I was kind of confused and wondering what it was, meaning what he was doing. And I had never experienced anything like that. Does he do this to you? Is this normal? And the other athlete is like, well, yeah, he does that to me too. And she'd been getting treated from him for years. So they're like, okay, I guess this is normal. I don't know different. The key here is that the first girl's coach, overheard that conversation. And then she called her mother. And then the coach reported it up to USA Gymnastics, to the vice president who's in charge of the women's program, who then reported it to the president of the US Gymnastics Association. And there was a problem there, which is highlighted very well in the documentary. So her mom was like, okay, well, I haven't heard from the police. I haven't heard from the officials. They said they're going to report it. He keeps telling me he's going to take care of it. And she's thinking, well, maybe this is what they do with sexual abuse cases. I've never been involved with one, so I don't know. So this is where I want to say to you, if you're a parent, if you're questioning this, please don't hesitate. Please don't hesitate. Pick up the phone and call an official. Call the police. If you're not sure if you want to call the police, call a local attorney and ask their opinion. Call an advocate group like RAIN or the National Domestic Abuse Hotline. Call them. They will let you know what is typically what should be happening in a case like this. So if you're not sure, please take steps to find out. Please, because it's your child who's at risk. And don't wait. Do not wait. And again, this is, her father said he would take care of it. So why wouldn't we believe him? Meaning the president of USA Gymnastics. Why wouldn't we believe that he's taking care of it? He told me he is. He's another prominent figure, high-level official who said he'd take care of it. So I'm going to believe he's taking care of it. When it comes to your child, you need to intervene. Please intervene. Stay on top of it. And I want you to know there's no blame here. No blame on the girls. There's no blame on their parents. The blame is on those people who are in a position, who were there with them, who should have reported it to the officials immediately, because it's a mandatory reporting when it comes to a minor. Report it immediately. You cannot say, oh, I don't want to jeopardize his career. Fuck that. He did it, not you. Must be reported. So her parents also said we weren't going to go public or say anything because we were told there was an FBI investigation and we could jeopardize it. Really? That was him again, president of USA Gymnastics, putting pressure on the parents to stay quiet. Now, this is total intimidation and threats, complete intimidation and threats. So I want you to take the viewpoint of the girls. If their parents feel intimidated by this man and the coaches, can you imagine the teenage girl who's actually been assaulted? It's no wonder that they didn't speak up because they were under much more pressure. They were getting demeaned and screamed at every single day. They were being slapped. They were being, pushed around and treated like crap. So they didn't have the wherewithal to report. Her parents also said, we didn't want to upset him, meaning the president of the USA Gymnastics, because they had the Olympics hanging over our heads. Their daughter, who had been sexually assaulted at the camp, was on the verge of making the Olympic team. She had been doing extremely well, number 2 in the country. And she had a knee injury right before the trials, and she still finished in the top 6 and was not even chosen as an alternate. Bullshit. You know why? Because she reported. They used their total power to steal her Olympic dream. Says one of the girls, we were so beaten down by that, meaning the emotional and psychological abuse, and made so obedient. So when we knew there was a sexual abuser in our midst, we wouldn't say anything. We felt utterly powerless. Powerless. So imagine these girls. You've seen them on television. You've probably watched the Olympics. They are so physically strong and fit. They can flip, twist, and throw their bodies through the air. They could climb a rope with their legs out in front of them and just use their hands to climb a rope and carry their body up. They can withstand the pain, the physical pain from their workouts, the training, and the injuries. They compete on broken toes and damaged ankles. I mean, we all remember Kerri Strug, right? They compete on injured bodies, and they feel powerless to speak up when it comes to sexual assault. Powerless to speak up. The organization used the children's dream to build the brand, and they didn't have time for the child. This is a statement from one of the attorneys. They took advantage of these girls, and they didn't give a shit about what happened to them. You've been sexually assaulted, no big deal. We'll just file it away and stick it in the cabinet. Now go on, go back to training, go back to seeing that same doctor again and again and again, because he's the only one we're going to make available to you. This is one of the girls saying, when you said you're hungry, your ankle hurts, you're working really hard, but you're screamed at that you're lazy, you're fat, and there's nothing wrong with your ankle. So when a man puts his bare hand in your vagina without asking, the thought is, he's this great doctor and I'm lucky to be here, so I'm not going to say anything. They created an environment of fear, intimidation, and silence. These girls were so beaten down, and they were so driven to reach that goal of competing in the Olympics. One of them was quoted as saying, she goes, I wanted to go to the Olympics so bad, I was willing to do just about anything to get there. So if my coach told me that I had to train 12 hours a day, I would have trained 12 hours a day. They said train with broken toes. I trained with broken toes. Trained with a disconnected back. and a back that's completely out of alignment, needing 4 alignment adjustments a day, I did it. So when this man comes in, who is the exact opposite of beating them down, and he's giggly and fun and joking around, and he's giving them food and sneaking them food because the coaches won't let them eat, and he's got candy for them, they want to trust him because he was completely opposite from all the other adults there. Like one of them said, he was the only nice one there. So I want to share with you some statistics. And if you look at this, out of 1,000 robberies, 619 are reported to police. Leads down to 20 robbers being incarcerated. If you look at assault and battery, out of 1,000 assault and battery crimes, so this is non-sexual assault and battery, meaning someone beat you or hit you, there was a fight, a physical altercation. 627 are reported, and 33 lead to incarceration. But out of sexual assaults, only 230 of those 1,000 are reported, and 4.6 are incarcerated. Less than 0.5% of sexual assaults will be incarcerated, versus when you look at assault and battery, it's over 3%. So this is one of the investigative journalists from Indy Star, and he had spoken to the perpetrator's attorney, and the attorney said, this is a very important man, and you're going to potentially ruin his reputation. And this man, this is not a small man. This is not a young man. This is not an inexperienced investigator. He's like, I felt that. I felt the weight of that intimidation that attorney was trying to come at me with, to say, don't publish this article. Don't go public with this. He felt that. So if he felt that, what did those girls feel? A teenage girl. This is another one of the investigative journalists, and he interviewed the perpetrator, because in journalism, they get both sides of the story. And after the interview, the doctor said to him, begging him, please don't do this. You're going to ruin my reputation. This is going to harm my family. I haven't done anything wrong. And this journalist said, he goes, you know what? He goes, I felt that. He goes, I kind of felt sorry for him. He goes, and as I was leaving, I had to keep reminding myself, I can't feel sorry for him. It's the victims I have to keep in mind. It's the victims that I need to keep my heart with, not him. So if he's feeling twisted and turned by this man after one interview where they're talking about his actions, and he says, I haven't done anything wrong. And this investigative journalist, who's been doing this for many, many years and has come up against other perpetrators, feels sorry for this guy. Can you imagine how those girls felt? These are some things that were said about the girls when the articles came out. It's a witch hunt. Is it rape if you like it? Can't say I blame them. They're smoking hot. Females love to play victim. Look at her. She wanted. Fake news, whore, drunk. These are only a few of the things that were said. Anybody else struggling to care? Had to wait till they were in their 30s to figure it out. LOL. Bitter, washed up gingers who couldn't hack it. Like sour grapes in need of settlement. Just want fame. Enjoyed it. These are the reasons why so many of these cases do not get reported. This is why so many women live in shame and say, I'm not going to tell anybody. I'm not going to tell my friend. I'm not going to tell my family. I'm never going to speak about it. And I can tell you, that was me for a while. because you're treated like this. You're treated like shit. So how can you heal when you're asking for help and you're saying, I don't know how to deal with this. I don't know how to handle what was done to me. I need help. And then they come and say, you asked for it. Well, you're just a victim. You couldn't hack it in the real world, so you're using this to get back at him. He's a prominent figure. Fucking bullshit. And this is why I do the work I do. So I want to share with you. I coach women to get out of survival mode and into living a thriving life. And here's what thriving means to me. Loving yourself again. You're so worthy of love. Building your self-confidence. Having joy, pure joy in your life. Having inner peace. Knowing that when you lay your head down on that pillow at night, you're going to have a peaceful night's sleep and you're going to dream. You're not going to have nightmares. You're going to dream. So I want you to reach out and chat with me, and let's put together an 8-week plan for you. Go to thrivingwoman.youcanbook.me. Hop on my calendar. This is what one of the women said after she about testifying in court. So this is the woman who first brought the case about this doctor to the newspaper, as well as to the detective that did investigate. Very critical. She did investigate. And she said, I lost every shred of privacy, every shred of dignity with what I had to disclose. And she got all the backlashes too. She was called a whore. She was called a drunk, said, you're a washed up gymnast, never made it anyway. You're just looking for fame. And I'm so proud of her because she stood strong. She had documented everything he had done to her when she was 15 years old. You might say, well, why did she wait to report it? Because when she first reported it, she was not believed. They wouldn't even hear her case. And she knew that when the Indy Star put out that article in 2016 during the Olympics about USA gymnastics as a whole, and the 54 coaches they had on file that they knew were sexual predators and did nothing about, she said, this is the time. So she said, hey, have you heard of this doctor? And the Indy Star said, They began their investigation. She reported it to the police. The detective said, yes, you've got a good case here, brought him in for questioning, but also had done her research and found that he had been reported 3 years prior to her same precinct, and it was not investigated. It was dismissed. So this woman is extremely important, and she's so freaking brave, so brave. I am so proud of her. So as it is, many victims are not believed. They're shamed, ridiculed, criticized, intimidated, humiliated, brainwashed, and made to doubt themselves, and so much worse. So they suffer in silence. And it's time for that silent suffering to end. And that's why I work with women to coach them to go from survival mode to thriving. Because the likelihood of being believed when it's a prominent figure is even lower. He's so beloved in the community. How could you dare speak against him? We've all heard this bullshit, right? Think about the Me Too movement that happened so long ago. He's a highly well-known, well-documented film producer, executive in the film industry. He wouldn't dare do that. And then it all started, right? This has to change. It's got to change, right? So if you're with me, give me a hell yes. It's got to change, and that's why I do the work I do. I don't give a shit about the perpetrators personally. I mean, I do. I think they all need to rot in jail. I know the reality of it, though. Less than 0.5% are going to be incarcerated. You saw that statistic. Out of every 1,000 sexual assault cases that are reported, less than 5 are incarcerated. And they go on and they do it to more and more women. So I'm here to help the women. I'm here for the women who have been through this experience of saying, enough, no more, it's got to stop. I want to help those women rise up and stop being a victim, ditch that survival mode mentality, and live a thriving life. Because when you're confident in who you are, and when you stand in your power, and when you assert yourself, other women will look at you and say, how does she do it? I want to know, so I've got to learn from her. I want her to help me. And when you do that too, you're not just doing it to help the other women in your life. You're setting an example for the children in your life as well. So that they don't accept this, so that they do say, you know what? It's okay for me to speak up. It's okay for me to go tell my teacher or my coach or my mom or my aunt or my friend, because they will believe me and they will help me. So hop on my calendar, thrivingwoman.youcanbook.me. And here's one of the things that happens. The damage that is done is not that just that they were sexually molested or abused or sexually assaulted. For most of these women, they were teenagers. Pretty much all of them were teenagers when this happened in this instance of the documentary. It was their first encounter with sex. It should be fun and joyful. I mean, my gosh, why is sex like looked up to all the time? Why do so many people want to have sex? Because it's a freaking wonderful experience. It should be a wonderful experience. And when your very first encounter is sexual assault, everything shifts. Everything. It took away their ability to trust, to love, to express love. It just stripped them of all this. And that's where the damage is. It profoundly affects the psyche, and it affects everything going forward. You go to a doctor now and you wonder, I don't want to be in a room with him alone. Because let's face it, for most of us, when we go to a doctor, it's a stranger. And they're going to be touching us and doing certain things. And there's a certain way an exam should go. And there's a way an exam should not go. So do they trust? Do they trust their friends? Do they trust their friends, their guy friends? Do they trust their coaches? There is doubt thrown into every relationship. It doesn't have to be that way, though. You can gain back your trust, yourself, your love, your confidence, your belief that you are deserving of a fabulous life. Because they're struggling to get back. And all it takes is one encounter. It doesn't have to be repeated. One encounter is all it takes. So help me help these women. Help me help women like these women. That's what I'm here for. Share this information. Share it. Because I'm here to help them. I understand what they've been through. And I found a way to stop being a survivor and live a wonderful, loving, fun, joyful life and have just inner peace and calm. It's amazing. 125. If you haven't seen the film yet, I want you to see the film. Because this is one of the most impactful moments. And it's, as the prosecutor described it, it was the momentum of empowerment that happened. 125. Not talking about his sentence, because he did get sentenced. 125 is the number of women who stood up in that court and said, I am going to be publicly identified and I'm going to give my impact statement as to why he deserves to rot in jail. 125 women. And the prosecutor said about this, she goes, it was unbelievable as each of them stood up and said, yes, I will be publicly identified. I am willing to be publicly identified. I am willing to have my name on record. She's like, they felt safe enough, able to put their shame not on themselves, but on their abuser. It's amazing. It was a momentum of empowerment as each one of these women came up to the podium and gave her statement. And it took a few days because there were 125 from one perpetrator. One. One of them, an Olympian, who said she hasn't been proud to be an Olympian because of the sexual assault she experienced from this doctor for years during her training while she was at the Olympics, suffering in pain during those Olympics. During her impact statement, she said, we have a voice now. We have the power now. So remember earlier, one of the women said, you know, they felt powerless in that environment to speak up. When there was a sexual predator amongst them, they wouldn't speak up because they felt powerless, even though they are so physically powerful. They were powerless. They had no voice. And now, during the impact statement, during his sentencing, we have a voice now. We have the power now. I want you to claim your power. I want you to know what it feels like to stand in your power, to be able to speak your truth with clarity and not get torn up by the emotions of it. I want you to become a thriving woman. It's time. She also said, you have no power over me anymore. I feel so proud of her. She's such a strong woman. She's had a lot of struggle. She says she's still struggling. But she said, you have no power over me anymore. And when I was able to do that in my life and take back my life, take back control, take back the reins of my life and say, you know what? You may have stolen my childhood, my teen years, my 20s, but you know what? This is my life and you no longer matter. You are not going to impact any of my thoughts. You are not going to impact how I love, my ability to trust, my confidence in myself. Nope, nope, nope. You have no power over me anymore. Celebrate it. It's a moment I want all of these women, every single woman who has ever been in that situation, who has ever been sexually assaulted, who was molested as a child, who was raped as an adult. I want her to be able to stand there and say, you know what? You have no power over me anymore. I'm going on to live my life regardless of what you did to me. That is living the life of a thriving woman. I want you to join me. So why do I share this? I shared throughout this presentation that I was them. I was molested as a child. I had horrible teenage years. My 20s, I was so lost, it was unbelievable. And there came a day when I said, enough, no more, not doing, I'm not living this life anymore. I'm not living this way anymore. Fucking bullshit. I'm taking back my life. He is no longer going to have any control. He's no longer going to have any power over how I live my life, who's in my life, who I love, whether or not I trust anybody, and what I believe about myself. Done. And now I coach women. I do private coaching and group coaching. And I take you out of survival mode and help you live the life of a thriving woman, because you deserve love. You deserve to ditch the frickin' self-sabotage. Get rid of it. Release the trauma. Be done with it. And manifest everything you desire. Everything. Love. Love for yourself. Trust in yourself and for those who are in your life. Being vulnerable again. And saying, I'm okay being vulnerable because you have so much strength within you, you don't even freaking know. And when you have inner peace and calm, you make better decisions, decisions that are better for you and are based on what you want in life instead of staying away from what you fear. That's what I want for you. So if you're ready to ditch self-sabotage, release the trauma, and manifest everything you desire, hop on my calendar. We'll have a chat. We'll put together an 8-week plan. And we'll also figure out if we're good to work together. Am I the right coach for you? Am I the right person to guide you through this journey? Because it's your healing journey. You're the one who can heal yourself. I'm here to guide you through that process and help you get through it and along the way and step out and live the life of a thriving woman. We do it with the psyche. We do it with hypnosis. I also truly believe in forgiveness. You might be wondering, are you out of your fucking mind? Nope. Forgive. Because it's for you. It's got nothing to do with them. It's got everything to do with you. And I'll guide you through that. And if you're not ready to do that, that's okay. I will not force you. Let's hop on a call. Go to thrivingwoman.youcanbook.me, get on my calendar, and let's chat. We'll put together an 8-week plan. We'll see if I'm a good fit for you, and we'll see if it's good for us to work together. And if not, don't worry, no problem, no pressure. The other thing I want you to know too is that we also do personal protection and self-defense. So we can address it from the physical side or just from the emotional side, the mental side of it, or we can do everything together. So come on, hop on my calendar. I'm looking forward to chatting with you. thrivingwoman.youcanbook.me, and make your day an absolutely amazing day.